This is the stock AM radio out of a late 1960s Volkswagen. I'm not sure which model of vehicle. It is probably a Beetle. And I guess this is the Volkswagen model here. It's AM only. And the complaint is low volume, lack of power, low volume, and someone else has already been into this and they asked me to take a look at it. They couldn't figure it out. So he thought that this transistor was defective, so he changed it, but that didn't correct the problem. This is the audio output transistor. So I'm going to resolder this thing. Actually, I might check this with my meter real quick. Just diode it out, make sure. Alright, well, the transistor checked fine when it was completely out of the circuit. Not that that's 100% assurance that it's good, but since the other gentleman did substitute it and it didn't fix the problem, I'm going to just go with that the output transistor is good. So let's get it powered up and actually check it out for ourselves. Alright, I'm doing some ohm checks here, and I'm looking at the schematic, and obviously the 12 volts comes in and goes through, well, it goes through a choke, a half an ohm choke to the power switch. So is this the choke right here, this green thing? It looks like this was their speaker connection. Let me sort this out, because maybe they're hooking this up wrong. Alright, so this is positive right here. I love the use of speaker cable for power input, whatever. This is lamp, your illumination, and these are your speaker leads here. I've verified this all. And this right here, this thing, this tunable choke right here is this choke right there in the power. Well, we're drawing about 600 milliamps, and they were right about low volume. That's the volume is wide open. And let's see. Who did this? Exile? E-X-I-L-E. This is one of those, like, country hits, greatest hits 1980 that crossed over into the soft rock, doctor's office genre. Anyway, I think Radio Disney is back on the air. Alright, well, I figured it out, and it didn't really take me much of anything. The first thing I did was I checked the voltages on these real quick, and they all looked about right. And then I started looking at the circuit, and I noticed that everything was pulled to ground through this 1000 microfarad capacitor. So I took a look here, and I got to give you credit, Ryan. You got it right, man. Bendix.
You're looking at delays. That's pretty heavy. That's backed up all the way to about San Gabriel. Traffic with it together on the sides. Our next report 325 from your Southern California traffic leader, KNX 1070 at CBSLA.com.
A lot of cloud cover streaming into the area. The monsoonal flow of moisture really picking up Thunderstorm activity through the high desert and mountains communities already. The bullseyes today, not only the high desert and mountains, Antelope Valley, San Gabriel Valley for thunderstorm activity. More widespread tomorrow. 85 downtown today, 96 for the valleys and IE. From the CBS 2 newsroom, I'm meteorologist Rich Fields for KNX 1070 News Radio. Right now we've got 92 in Canoga Park, 88 for Colima, 81 degrees along the coast in Long Beach. Currently it's 86 here at the CBS Broadcast Center on LA's Miracle Mile. Live and local, this is Southern California's only owned news radio station, KNX 1070 News Radio. I'm Chris Seaton's coming up. If you're going to the Rose Bowl this weekend to see B&J, Beyonce and Jay-Z, you might be better off not using GPS. We'll tell you why.
Beyonce and Jay-Z? Oh boy, I wonder if I can still get tickets for that. Jeez. Talk about something worth waiting in line for 3 days for. So, this got 60,000 people to go see those? Whatever. Yeah, this sucker's open right here, so... there's a couple things that fascinate me on AM car radios versus regular, like an AM pocket radio, and I see this on pretty much everything as a standard. And a car radio will use one IF amp, a converter, and an RF amp, where a pocket radio will use only a converter and 2 IF amps, unless it's a really bottom of the line 99-cent Taiwan special. The other thing is car radios use a 262.5 IF, whereas everything else uses 455 or 456 or 460. Car radios, for the most part, were silicon transistors early on versus germanium, and the output on car radios never seems to be push-pull. It always seems to be single-ended like this. Now, I could probably explain this by saying that in a car radio you kind of have unlimited current, which this thing is hot. This thing is hot, and it does say 550 milliamps, and that's right where we're about. So this could just be them saying, hey, we can get away cheap, we can drive a whole bunch of current, we don't care about current because electricity is aplenty in a car, we're not trying to save battery life, so they don't run a push-pull. So I could explain that. I'm sure there's a reason for the 262.5. Maybe it's interference, alternator noise, power line noise, the type of antenna or something. But if someone knows the reason why they run 262.5, I would be curious. And if somebody can explain why they run an RF amp and one IF amp versus 2 IF amps and just a converter, I'd be curious. I have a feeling it's due to noise and interference. And anyway, let's get some capacitors in this. Okay, there were 2 capacitors. This is actually the capacitor, and this was a double capacitor, believe it or not. I thought that section was in here, but it just so happened that this was a 2-section, and the lead that I was touching on was for if this was a 3rd section, but in this one they had used a 2-section, and then they'd used a 2-section over here. And that was this one, which was completely open, and this one, which is the AVC filter, the AVC limiter. So here's the capacitor right here, and you want to talk about dried out. It broke when I was taking it apart. The just touched it and it broke. So let's look at the gain now.
The 15 is jammed up from the 91 down to
line organic. 보쌈이나 수제 순대와 함께 먹는 육개장
Money. Well, even on the
Otros juegos. Los Rigaros de Kansas. A las 100. Atlanta.
lay back up so that
We're in the middle of it.
Hitting second, center fielder Mike Trout. On the mound with the record of.
When you start investing, it's critical to have a game plan for success.
interrupción. Filling pipe then empty for 5 days.
Doing that causes changes. Juicing's not the answer.
모르고 어떻게 해야 되는? 난리인데.
Para ustedes, ¿cómo están las posiciones por el wild card?
¿No? Y también mariachi los
God for... Dios te bendiga. Don't rely on that.
Low temperatures, these 24 superfoods, the cruciferous vegetables, the deep dark greens, the blueberries, the blue fruits, the strawberries, the reds, the whites, we've done the work for you, and we've done it at low.
They're keeping it safe. And I would imagine the same goes for...
As a familiar reminder.
Boys go indoors.
Edwards K extends 70 News ready. A Southern California immigration officer could get nearly...
here in the world way far away, where we have North Korean presidents threatening to nuke our White House, which we all...
fraud charges and could receive up to 95 years in prison for his actions. His wife, who was...
You're just flat out dumb.
Billy Nelms took cash payment.
People have lived for a while with their information hacked and their identity compromised and not...
This conspiracy to commit bribery.
What are some clues?
Específicamente.
Doesn't mean we ignore the technical action in a stock just because we've read up on a company and we really like a company.
Their freestyle cruise with their.
For example, Matt and I talked to a
That victim when I was
Writing open letters.
at a position for no solo los distritos.
Full of fun and play without needing a.
And yearning for. When they start to absorb this type of nutrition, you feel better naturally. Your energy gets
Book now.
It supports their
finance a home for
category. And this is
No mistake, because I love when there is a tide in public opinion.
good, Dad.
Everyone knows the best way to enjoy snowmen.
Check it out. So the way the transistor is biased, the current goes down when you run more volume through it.
To $250 to spend on board. Visit ncl.com, call your travel professional, or 1-888-NCL-CRUISE. MSA restrictions apply.
KNX News Time, 410, now sponsored by Court Furniture, your money news. Frank Motek. Looks like fixed-rate mortgage rates pulled back over the past week. Lazarson, president of MortgageBroker.com.
the 30-year fix.
So the harder you drive it, the cooler it runs. That's just beautiful. It's like a FET.
3.18% at one point. The
Then we have to start.
Anyway, good enough. Repair of the 1960s Bendix something. This is that 80s station that's been playing all the 80s stuff. I'm curious to see what this is. I'll let this run for a while. Crap, the camera just said recording failure and then updated the file system, so it probably means it wiped out a part of this video, so it's probably not going to make any sense. But this is some Korean station playing this music.
이엘로의 이블 워먼, 그리고 그 전에 드신 곡은 산타나의 이블 웨이스였습니다. 방금 드신 이엘로의 이블 워먼, 1976년 당시 싱글 차트 10위까지 됐던 곡이에요. 이엘로도 뭐 70년대 초반, 중반, 후반, 뭐 80년대 중후반 꽤 오랫동안 활동하면서 좋은 음악들 많이 발표했죠. 자, 이번엔 1982년입니다. 1982년 당시 싱글 차트 3위까지 됐던 곡이에요. 자, 알란 파슨스 프로젝트, Eye in the Sky.
It's all classic rock. Alright, well here it is. It's 12:30 a.m. and you just never know where these videos are going to go. So let's try translate this page. So, what is this? What is this radio station all about? What? What? Yes, we know how to cook your kids. Come on, what is this damn... Radio 12:30 a.m. Thai, smooth as silk. Okay, well, what radio? It's good to document these things because these radio stations that play any kind of music just are gone. These AM stations are just gone in a minute. Anytime you get a decent AM station that plays any kind of decent music, and I've heard, this isn't the first day I've heard this. I heard this last night. These stations are gone in a minute. Music just doesn't cut it on AM. It's got to be news or talk or sports. Oh, here we go. Story song requests. Oh, I can put in a song request. Let's see. Information Plus.
다 1978년 당시 싱글 차트 22위까지 됐던 곡이에요. 이 팀 저도 참 좋아하는 팀인데, 자, 스틸리 댄, FM, 괄호 열고 No Static at All이라는 소제목이 붙어 있습니다. 듣겠습니다. 됐던 곡이에요. 자, 이 곡을 마지막으로 콘서트 1, 2, 3부 오늘 순서 모두 마치도록 하겠습니다. 지금까지 신윤호였습니다. 고맙습니다.
지금 여러분께서는 최고의 청취율, 최대 광고 효과 AM 1230 우리 방송과 함께하고 계십니다. 한인사회 대표방송 우리 방송에서 잠시 후에 5시를 알려드립니다.
The all-new dynamic Korean-American #1 radio station, KYPA AM 1230, Los Angeles.
이 시간 주요 뉴스입니다. 이스라엘과 하마스 72시간